Hi, Chris Schmiedeke from Divorce Simplified. I wanted to make a short video on 5 things that you need to consider before you file for divorce. First thing I think you need to consider is, have you explored all avenues for reconciliation? And I know that sounds strange coming from a divorce attorney, but it's true. If there is any chance of reconciliation, explore those avenues first before you ever get to the lawyer's office, because the worst thing you can do is stir up the pot, filing for divorce, spend a bunch of money getting things going, and then figure out that you can then reconcile. Another reason is because a lot of times what will happen is, when the other party figures out that this thing is real, now all of a sudden they want to reconcile. And the question becomes, hey, I've already filed for divorce. They want to reconcile. Is it truly them wanting to reconcile, or is this a reaction to the divorce? If you take care of all of that before the divorce, then you'll know in your heart that this divorce is the right thing for you. The second thing I want you to consider or think about is, what are your priorities and non-negotiables? You need to have an idea of what you are trying to accomplish. You're going to be in 2 separate households at some point. What are the things that you will not negotiate on that is a deal breaker, and what are the things that you are negotiable on? Make a list. Put your non-negotiables on one side, your negotiables on the other side, and have those written down so you know what they are. They're things that you can share with your attorney when you file for divorce, and they can use that and help you kind of walk through at least the initial consultation and the first few meetings to kind of establish what your strategy looks like. The next question you have to answer is, how will this impact my children? You may not have children, so you can disregard this part, but if you do have children, you have to think about what this looks like. Again, you're going to be in 2 households at some point. How is this going to affect the kids? Are my kids teenagers, 8, 6, 2? Those things matter. So think about how old they are. Think about the implications to the child. And it never hurts to start thinking about psychological or therapists to help them through. If you think it's going to be a particularly nasty divorce, you may want to start in advance in helping them. Even school counselors, maybe somebody you could talk to and kind of set some things up in advance. Now, obviously, you don't want to do that prior to your spouse knowing that you're going to file for divorce. But I would definitely have something in the works, or at least a thought in my head, or a phone number to call. That way, when you do file for the divorce, you can kind of get on things quickly. Are you prepared for the financial aspects of the divorce? So not only do you have the attorney's fees that you have to pay to file for the divorce, but you have to divide your marital assets. What does that look like? And is it going to be something that you can do on your own? Like, can I survive on my own? If I have my own place, I'm hanging, my own apartment, I've got my own job, I've got my own car, how am I going to pay for all of this stuff, right? You have to think about those things. So put a budget together. Put down, what is my income? What are my expenses? What do I expect to spend per month reasonably? And see what that looks like. Again, also, when you're in the divorce, sometimes people will want to separate while they're divorcing because they need to. They just can't live under the same household. The emotional stress is too high. Walking on eggshells every day, it's just not a doable situation. But again, consider the financial aspect. You got to do the math. If the numbers simply don't add up, the 2 of you, so if you're looking at it in the divorce situation, like while you're divorced and y'all are separated, if the 2 of you don't make enough money to sustain 2 households, you got to know that in advance, right? You need to factor that in, because you may not be ready to file for divorce. You may need to get some ducks in a row financially before you can file for divorce, so that you then can live on your own, right? It's not just your income that's going to be considered. It's the community income. So whatever you make, whatever they make, that all gets lumped together. That's the community income. So if you make $20,000 a year, but your spouse makes $200,000 a year, well, that's $220,000 a year to pay 2 households' bills, not just your $20,000. And the final piece that you need to consider, and this is extremely important, is, what does your support system look like? You need to have a good support system to get through a divorce. You need to have family, friends that you can lean on. Sometimes you may even need to live with them temporarily, but people that you can count on to have your back, that you can get away from things, kind of separate yourself from the divorce, have some me time, some peaceful time. Find those people, know who they are, know where they are. They may be out of state, they may be in state. You know, if you're getting a divorce and you have kids and all your support system is out of state, that's something you need to consider. It's going to be tough, right? If you're getting divorced and you have no kids and your support system's out of state, that's a lot different because you can go visit them whenever you like. Shit, you could go live with them and still file for divorce here in Texas. So things to consider. So I've gone over 5, so I want you to consider all 5 of those things. Once you kind of have a game plan or a mapped out course of action, then you can start considering filing for divorce, setting an appointment, talking to an attorney, and you can even go over these with them, but you'll be well on your way to at least managing the stress of a divorce.